Today I want to talk about two ways that we can learn to actually love and appreciate being wrong. I know that sounds weird because we don't like being wrong. We really hate it. Our egos don't like it, or the whole pride thing, the whole avoidance thing. But we'll find all kinds of ways to get out of being wrong, admitting we're wrong, seeing ourselves as wrong, whatever it may be. And so we really hate it, but I do think that we can reassociate it into something that we do learn to appreciate. Now, when we come across some counter information that may indeed prove us wrong, that may change our mind, that may hurt our ego, one of the things that we do is we ignore that opposing info. We scroll past it on the internet. We sort of pretend we didn't hear it. We don't respond to it. We respond to something else that doesn't hurt us, so to speak. We'll go into wild justifications as to why what we're saying, what we're thinking is correct. And I don't mean just to other people. We may justify it to ourselves. We do all sorts of weird things to avoid this. I've seen people lying to themselves, or even diminishing their own self-worth, their own capabilities, in order to avoid being incorrect. A recent example of this, I was speaking to someone, doesn't matter the person or the topic, but we hit a point in the conversation where the information was going against what they were saying, and she actually diminished her own intelligence in order to say, well, I wouldn't have recognized that. And in the context of the conversation, it would have been something easily recognizable. But in order to not be incorrect to herself, she had to come up with this story about how she was less intelligent. And I was a little disturbed by that, but other things, people will alter their morals to fit the situation so that they don't have to be incorrect. They can come up with a new moral justification for it. So I'm sorry, kind of a rant there, but I kind of wanted to get the idea of how we avoid being wrong before I got to the ways that we can love being wrong, which I promise I will get to in just a moment. So when we don't admit that we're wrong, it's kind of like saying, well, I'm the best I will ever be. I know everything that I'm ever going to know. I am correct. I can never be proven wrong. And it's a rather egotistical viewpoint. But what you're really doing is you're preventing your own growth, because being wrong shows you where you can grow. It tells you, oh, I can learn some more over here. I can see a different viewpoint over here. And so when we are right all the time, or when we do these crazy things to be right, we absolutely limit our growth. And I found that I was doing that in the past too. Occasionally I still do. I try not to. So wouldn't it be great to be able to practice being wrong? Like if you could be intentionally wrong so that you can practice shutting down the ego or diminishing the ego long enough to say, yes, I was wrong. Unfortunately, I haven't found a way to reliably and reproducibly be intentionally incorrect without lying or being willfully ignorant or something like that. So I haven't found a reproducible way to be incorrect, because you know you're doing it, so you kind of run into that little trap. What we can do is, or I should say what we do, is we get the maximum practice, the best practice that we can, just in everyday life. So when someone brings up counter information, you right then have an opportunity to look at that information and make an honest decision. Am I incorrect? So those are our opportunities to practice. But I want to go ahead and give you two other ways that are reproducible. And it's not quite the same as intentionally being wrong, but you'll see in a second. So the first one, and again, these are the two ways that you're going to be able to learn to love being wrong. So think of a time or times when you were wrong and reassociate it. And this is really simple to do. You think about a time, and it doesn't matter if you gave in and you admitted you were wrong, or if 10 years later you said, oh my God, that person I talked to was totally right. It doesn't matter. Look back at it and reassociate it. Reassociate it with a smile. And this feedback that I've talked about in other videos works fantastically for reassociation. You just think of the event and you just smile, and it resets it in your mind. It says, this event was okay. Instead of being this torturous thing where it beat up my ego and it made me feel less intelligent, now you're reassociating it with this smile. It was a good event. It was a learning event potentially. And that is number two, actually, is when you're looking back, learn to think of and appreciate the ways in which you have grown by being wrong. So it could be anything. Could be maybe the way that you were driving your car. Maybe you were absolutely certain that in your manual car you should shift at this time, at this RPMs, and absolutely you were sure of it. It was the best. And then someone got in your car and said, hey, if you did that a little different, you'd get a better gas mileage or better speed or whatever. And so you think back and you say, wow, I'm so glad I ended up listening to them because they were right. And again, that could be, years down the road. Maybe you said, oh, shut up, I don't want to hear about it. Don't tell me. But then a couple of years later, you found yourself doing exactly what they were suggesting. Maybe the habit had just kind of crept in or something. But appreciate that. Appreciate it and say, I'm so glad that because I am doing this correctly now, instead of sticking with my old beliefs, that I am now getting better gas mileage. I am now driving my car better, or whatever it might be. So now you have this association with the good feeling, the smile, and you have the association with what you have learned and how you have grown by being wrong. And when in life, and I'm sorry, this is not really a third reason, you can kind of call it a bonus or what to do with all of this, but when you find yourself in a situation where you are doing some of these weird things, catch yourself. And weird things like the ignoring opposing information, the wild justifications, or the lying to yourself, whatever it might be. When you catch yourself doing that, go back to steps 1 and 2. Remember that it is a good experience to be wrong, that it is a beneficial experience to be wrong. And if you can catch yourself in that moment, then you don't have to wait till later to look back. You can right there say, I might be incorrect. And it doesn't mean that you are. It just gives you that opportunity to say, I might be incorrect. And if I am, I have the opportunity to grow. If I'm not, maybe I have the opportunity to teach. But either way, you're getting a beneficial experience out of it instead of your ego latching onto, I must be correct or I will die. Because that is how the ego feels about it. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, and be sure to hit like, share it if you really like it. If you didn't like it, share it with somebody you don't like, and have a great day.